Welcome to the Whole Career Podcast, where we explore the world of healthcare careers with Advent Health professionals. We're your hosts, Brandon Strong and Sky Kellogg, and we're excited to take you on a journey of career exploration, development, and success.
At Advent Health, we believe in caring for the whole person, which includes supporting our team members' professional growth and development. In this podcast, we'll be highlighting valuable career information, resources, and advice to help you succeed in both your professional and personal life.
Each episode will feature conversations with Advent Health professionals who will share their personal career journeys, insights, and perspectives on various healthcare careers. From nursing to technology to leadership, we'll cover a wide range of topics to help you stay informed and inspired.
Whether you're just starting out in your healthcare career or you're a seasoned professional looking to take the next step, this podcast is for you. We hope to empower you with the knowledge and tools you need to grow, succeed, and make a positive impact in your field.
At Advent Health, we believe that we are greater as a whole, and we invite you to join us on this journey. So sit back, relax, and let's explore the world of healthcare careers together. Welcome back to the Whole Career Podcast. I'm your host, Brandon Strong, and I'm joined by my lovely co host, Sky Kellogg. We are incredibly excited today. I want to make sure I read this right. So, I'm speaking to someone with 19 years of healthcare experience, uh, 12 as an RN, and 2 years of experience as a regional employee health manager and wellness coordinator with U Chicago Medicine at Advent Health. And so, Valerie Gonzalez, welcome to the Whole Career Podcast. How are you today?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I am doing great.
Awesome,
Excited to
awesome.
be here.
I'm happy. I'm happy to have you. We are happy to have you. So, I want to go ahead and ask our first question here. Can you please formally introduce yourself and give us a brief overview of your current role?
Of course. So, as our host has said, my name is Valerie Gonzalez. I am a nurse manager for employee health and wellness in our lovely Great Lakes region. As a regional employee health and wellness manager, my role is continuously evolving, I think, just as healthcare as I manage clinical operations of employee health services. And I've also become heavily involved in a well-being initiative for our region to kind of better understand burnout distress amongst our team members so we can create solutions to give them back their purpose or help them in their well-being journey, both professionally and personally.
Just in that little bit that was touched on, I can't even begin to explain how vital that must be
Yes.
to your region. So, before we jump into that and learn more of what you do in detail, if you could, Valerie, just share your journey with us into becoming a regional nurse manager in employee health and wellness, and what inspired you to pursue this role.
Yeah, so my career started 19 years ago, back in 2006. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. Leaving high school, I took a survey and said, "You'd be great in healthcare." I said, "All right, let me try this." I graduated with my associates as a medical assistant. But within several years, I knew I really wanted to do more. I kind of was at the maximum capacity of what I can do as a medical assistant. So I made the decision to go back to nursing school, pursue my degree in nursing. So I worked full time to pay for nursing school, and then was successful at graduating. And then kind of decided I really wanted to focus on leadership, and I knew I needed to have my bachelor's to do that. So I did go back to school at Purdue University, graduated with my bachelor's degree, and then kind of a lot of challenges in between. I think where I am now, it took a lot of hard work. It took dedication. It took patience because it wasn't overnight. Sacrifice. I had to change the way my life was going. I stopped going out. I had to say no to a lot of things that I wanted to participate in because really my focus was nursing at that time. A lot of tears. I mean, a lot of tears. It was very hard to get to where I was, but I'm absolutely so blessed to be here. I've been in my role currently for 2 years, and it was an opportunity for me to expand my knowledge, my scope, and completely step out of my comfort zone. It also was an opportunity for me to prove to myself that I can kind of pivot in my career a little bit later in life and still find a way to make a meaningful impact to people.
I love that. And but you mentioned pivot, and so that's a perfect uh, I think that's a perfect way to talk about. what you did before this. So can you just mention, I know currently in the regional employee health manager role, but what was your title before this, and what was it like saying, you know what, I'm going to go for this regional employee health role. I'm going to try and see if I can get this job. Can you talk to us about that transition?
Yeah, so previous to this, I was a regional supervisor for a dermatology practice. So I oversaw three separate practices, and I was a practicing nurse at the time. So I supervised my three locations. I was a nurse for my one physician, and then kind of filling in where I needed to in that role. So I was very actively involved in education, training, hiring. But in a very different light. You know, I guess, this job, and when I decided that I really wanted to do more, I was very hesitant because meaning, when you step up in leadership, you eventually start to slowly move away from nursing and what you started doing, right? So I knew if I wanted to take this position, I would have to kind of give my nursing up a little bit, right? So that was a hard decision for me. It took me a year to decide to actually move forward with applying to some of the positions. And when I saw this position, I was like, this might be the closest. I might be able to still have hands on sometimes, but be able to make, more of those meaningful impacts that I wanted to as my career developed.
Awesome.
Yeah, one thing that really stuck out to me there, Valerie, which shows your passion specifically for the bedside nursing part of your role, that it was a difficult decision for you to leave that aspect. I think some get into leadership, I'm sure, to get away from that because maybe they're tired or burnt out, and you struggling to leave that, I think, just speaks to you
Right.
being in your calling and being where you were meant to be. And I'm sure that impacts the way that you treat others as a leader today. So how have you built trust with your team, and why is it important for your team members to know that you have their best interests in mind?
Yeah, I mean, I will say it was difficult. When I joined Advent Healthy Chicago Medicine, um, I wasn't sure what to expect. I had been told that there have been a lot of changes. The team has been through a lot. They've been out without a leader for a little bit of time. And really, they were just going through almost, a separation from a previous partner. So there would have been a lot of changes in a very short time. So, one of the questions I asked before I even took this position was, has anybody else applied within this department? Right? Because I knew that that would be an important question for me to understand coming into this situation. Did someone want this and they weren't given that opportunity, right? Thankfully, I was happy to find out that no one actually did. They were looking for someone to come in and lead the team, which allowed me to be my genuine self, walking into this saying, how can I fix this? It took a long time. I think I listened a lot. I didn't come in here thinking that I was going to change because I didn't know what was happening. I didn't actually know the department, the unit. So I had to learn through them. So I learned by listening. I learned through observation. I learned open discussions and then following through with some of the things that they needed from me. And once I was able to gain their trust, it was my responsibility to ensure they felt protected and heard. I used my unique position as their leader to speak on employee health initiatives. And I do this all the time. Any chance I get to be in front of a crowd, I am continuously bringing that conversation back to employee health and why it's so important for each region.
I love that that
Mhm.
answer.
Yeah.
And I think I never even thought about that. You even thinking to ask, has anyone applied? I just
Yeah.
think that's so people focused and like,
Mhm.
keeping the larger picture and the team in mind, and actually, maybe safeguarding yourself from what you might be walking into, and knowing that. So I love that part. So
Yeah.
I also, that last piece that you mentioned about what employee health truly is. Can you take us through a day in the life of Valerie as an employee health manager, regional employee health manager, excuse me.
Yeah, it's kind of all over the place. I think that with any leader and with a clinical department, you're managing your day changes, at the drop of a pin, right? It could be back to back meetings for our wellness initiative. It could be huddling with my team to say, what are we focusing on today? What do we need to do today? Is there any like pressing issues we need to address? It could be presenting. We do a lot of speaking on wellness and some of the offerings that Advent Health has for our team members. So we do a lot of promotion on those well-being offerings to our team members. We're in the midst of a quarter three lunch and learn series where we're going through like our WebMD program, our resources for living, everything well-being, so that our team members really know what we have available to them. It could be standing alongside my team in flu clinics, giving flu vaccines. It really just depends on the day. I try, and at least I have 4 campuses, so I try and at least get to touch base with all of my team members every single morning just to make sure we understand what our goals are for today or what is it that we need help with or assistance with to get through that day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how large is your team, Valerie?
I actually have a small team. So we have 4 campuses here in the Great Lakes region. I have 4 full-time clinical team members. I have 1 HR team member and then 3 PRN team members. So we're tiny. We cover a large area, but I think that speaks volume to my team. They are so efficient. They are amazing at what they do. They are doing the brunt of the work. I will say they bring in our new hires, they onboard them, they ensure that they're continuously healthy by vaccinations, fit testing, anything that you can think of that we do. But they really are the ones that kind of hold us all together.
Awesome. I love that HR is involved in that as well. It's
Yes, yeah,
another plug for an
right.
opportunity others may not have thought. Maybe you would think you would just have to be a nurse or in the clinical space to be a part of this realm. But yeah, I love that. That's a wonderful opportunity to consider. Then, if you have a focus on others' health and keeping people in their best shape. So yeah, Valerie, you mentioned that you were diagnosed with a chronic back condition during nursing school. So how did this challenge shape your career path and your approach to nursing as a whole?
Yeah, well, I think that was not in the cards for me. I was not expecting that. So that I think took me a little bit of time to refocus my plan. I had a career plan. I was very open to being an inpatient nurse, and then through nursing school I got diagnosed with a chronic injury condition where it limits what I'm able to do. So I kind of had to pivot my career and refocus on what actually I was trying to do as a nurse and what can I still do as a nurse that may not be able to do as much as, my colleagues. So I think, like with anything, we life isn't promised, right? Not everything could be worse. So I think it really just made me focus on making things better for others because I wanted, I knew what it was like to have a condition that maybe limited myself. So trying to focus on bettering myself and then bettering whether it's patients, team members, in any way that I could. I think, I finally have come to terms with not being able to do some of the things that I did. But it took a long time. And I think for other nurses in the field, I know a lot of people that have had to step away because of ailments, conditions that kind of prevent them from doing what they want. But I think it's important to realize that as nurses, there are so many unique opportunities to us for us that it's not we can do more and impact more, not just bedside nursing. There's so many other opportunities that we can make a difference in.
Valerie, thank you so much for sharing, especially the point that when you're in nursing, even if you do have some sort of condition or ailment that impacts you along the way, that there's still opportunities for you in the nursing field and that you can continue to grow and get to the point that you're in your career. And I hope that inspires others that are listening that maybe have gone through a similar situation.
And so I think I wanted to cover for those that don't understand why employee health is important to an organization. And this is a Brandon special segment off the topic, off the cuff. But I want to connect the dots for our listeners because I think when they hear employee health, it may mean something different to them or it may mean multiple things. So, for instance, I'll give you an example for myself. I'm like, okay, employee health, like they're probably people that help keep me safe. And if I need any type of like compliance, I would probably go to employee health. That may be a part, not sure. So as far as why it's important and some of the people that you support, and collaborate with? Can you give us an idea of why it's important to an organization?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, there's a lot of different kind of facets of employee health. We have an onboarding clinic, which will onboard our new team members, right? We will ensure from day one that those team members are compliant in vaccine requirements or they, you know, they've passed a drug screening, right? Because we want to make sure that the ones that we're bringing in are providing safe care. So we do that initial screening, make sure that every team member is compliant from day one. Then, when you get to the campuses, we will then provide whether it's revaccination or continuous series of vaccines that you need. We'll fit test team members to ensure that they are safe when they're providing care to team members with airborne precautions. We will participate in being a support system to those team members. So whether we're advocating for resources for them or showing them how to get certain resources to them. We do help with a lot of HR and employee relation cases. So if somebody's struggling, whether they have an injury or, you know, we're questioning whether they're fit for duty, whether it's a medical condition or other, we want to make sure that they get that care that they need so they can come back to the workforce and provide that care. Um, Tons of other things. I mean, my team is constantly educating other team members on various aspects of safety. So we have PAPR training, which is if someone fails a fit test, we want to ensure that you're still protected. So there's other devices that we can use. My team does do a lot of training for, we partner with a lot of units to kind of help us provide safe care to other team members. There's a lot of training going on from my team to other leaders so that they can continue kind of partnering with us in that space. We do a lot of, if an employee has a needle stick injury or they have a communicable disease exposure, our department is the one that ensures whether they get the treatment and they get everything that's recommended to provide safe, you know, provide safe space and ensure they're getting the treatment they need because they were exposed during work. So anything that can happen to a team member during their shift, that's a safety concern or an exposure. That's all us trying to provide the best care for our team members.
Got it.
Yeah. It's a wide range that your area covers, and
Yes.
I'm sure not everyone would be unless they're in that area, be aware of everything that's involved in that, so thank you for sharing. And just to get back to your career, Valerie, can you talk to some, of the pivotal moments in your career where you had to, pivot or change direction, and what lessons you learned from those experiences?
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of pivots in my career. You know, I think early on in my career, like I said, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. And then I got my first lead role and I loved it. I loved being able to advocate for team members and be kind of the voice of them. So I had to slowly work towards my goals and I knew that I had to get experience. And I think some of the most pivotal moments in my career is when I have been taken out of my comfort zone. I've stepped away, tried something different, been put in uncomfortable situations. That's where I've learned and grown. I am no, you know, I'm not a perfect leader. I have a lot of growing and evolving to do. But I think putting myself in some of those really difficult situations has helped with me and myself and my leadership. And then in my team, recently we did have a really hard incident that hit our region. One of our team members did ultimately lose his life, and that was really hard for us because we had to come together as a group to provide to provide support to our team members who were grieving and didn't know how to handle that. And that was really hard for me because I've never lost a team member before. So coming together and seeing everybody and their willingness to come and support this team in their time of mourning was an absolute kind of pivot. I learned, you know, this is the company I want to be in. This is the people I want to surround myself in. A group of people that care so deeply about our team members that they're willing to do anything to make them get through whatever difficult life, you know, experience they're dealing with. So that kind of was a pivot for me to say, I am in the right place. I'm doing what I want. I'm doing what I want and love, and I get the space to do it.
It's a beautiful example of coming together as an organization during the good times, the exciting times, and the tragic times as well. So it's a beautiful thing that that situation reminded you why you're here and that you're where you're meant to be. So thank you for sharing that.
Valerie, can you share some examples of successful health and wellness programs or initiatives that your department has implemented and how they have benefited employees? Don't
Yeah,
be
so I
don't be
think
afraid to brag on yourself or brag on your team, I should say. We want to hear all about it.
I will take any opportunity to brag on my team. They're amazing. I think that just this year we've kind of developed as a team and really have focused on not only providing those compliance the compliance care that we need to, but really focusing on our team members' well-being in whole. So we care for the body, mind, and spirit. We really want to be that resource for team members to understand our resources. So we've incorporated kind of a brief tutorial or overview of our offerings at each new onboarding appointment. So any team member that comes into our clinic as a new hire will get a little bit of a brief kind of information session with Jamie, my HR coordinator, to kind of just slowly talk about some of the offerings we have again, because we want to build that wellness. We want to build that it's okay to need help if you ever are in a situation where you feel like you need somebody else to kind of guide you through that. We have, with my partner Andres Flores, we have a well-being initiative that we launched about a year and a half ago that was studying the distress and burnout amongst medical surgical nurses in our region. Amazing opportunity to work with some great leaders. We have our executive sponsors, Mary Murphy and Sharice Cherry, who've kind of been pivotal in getting this work done. And through this work, we've been able to initiate a 7 week well being journey for these team members. They had 7 weeks of mental health. It was almost like education sessionals with a clinical psychologist. We were able to get funding for that. We were able to identify 6 individuals who had accessed suicidal resources and get them the help that they needed. So, really, in this wellness space, we are doing honestly so much more than I thought would be included in this role. And I'm completely blessed to be able to work alongside these individuals again for an organization that stand behind their employees and will do whatever it takes to make sure that they are okay. And this well-being initiative is ever evolving. We're looking to launch it into more units come 2025, but really have seen the positive impact we've made on just the small unit that we've been working with.
It's incredible work, very
Absolutely.
important work.
Absolutely.
And as far as you, Valerie, how do you feel um, you have grown personally and professionally over 2 years as a regional nurse manager? And what do you feel the most rewarding part of your journey has been so far?
I have grown honestly so much in this last 2 years. It's sometimes I look back, I'm like, wow, I didn't think I was going to be able to do the things that I have already been given the opportunity to do just by given I think we, as team members, are given the opportunity to shine whenever we can. And I think that putting myself in those positions where I'm speaking with whether it's executives or unit leadership is really still getting me out of my comfort zone. I have to be an expert on the information that we were presenting and trying to explain. So I had to also own my part in that process. So that's been difficult for me. And I think it's helped me evolve speaking in front of individuals about a project that I'm so passionate about is really kind of I don't even know how to put it in words, honestly. It's been the most meaningful part of my career is to be able to have an idea, work through a year and a half process, and then see the benefits to our team members. There's nothing better than that. We always say if we can save one person, we did enough. And in this initiative and just this small group of team members, we've saved 6. So to me, like it doesn't get better than that.
Absolutely.
Wow.
No, that's I mean, like you said, you can't even put into words. There are no words to be able to know that that's the impact that you all have had, and thank God you all truly were there for them to help and support them. And I would imagine that that will only make more team members feel comfortable to be able to speak out about what they're going through after seeing the way that you've been able to help, just like you said, just this small department. So thank you for sharing that example.
So, Valerie, I would assume that employee health and wellness, you're serving the majority of the people that you're serving, I would say, are the people that are probably pouring out the most, especially physically, mentally. And where I'm going with this is I have found that a lot of the nurses, right, those bedside nurses, they do struggle with taking care of themselves, right? That self-care, right? And the self-awareness to know like, hey, I need help and assistance. And they're the ones that are helping save everyone, constantly. And so, what are some of the challenges that you've talked about with your team or things that you've specifically tried to address specific towards messaging what you all are putting out? And I know you work with Andres Flores and he's, talent communication. And so he's, very good with words and communicating. But if you could talk towards like those challenges on messaging what you have to offer, because maybe the people that these offers are for, just historically have not been the ones to actually use those because of what they do and how taxing it can be in those positions that they're in.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it also is, healthcare, nursing in general, it's almost taboo to say you're not okay, right? And we've learned that through a lot of the work that we're doing is nurses don't want to admit that they're not okay. Nurses, we were built to be strong, right? And be able to take on so much. All of these nurses, in my career too, you take on everything that your patient feels, right? And you're constantly just adding to your plate and adding to your plate. And I think what we've been trying to communicate is that it's okay not to be okay because we are here to help you. It's okay to have bad days, to go home and feel whatever it is that you're feeling, right? We learned through our well-being mental health sessions all feelings are good feelings. Feelings are colors. Colors are not bad. So feel whatever you need to do, but do what you have to do to be able to get better for yourself, for your patients, for your family. We know we cannot give 100% to our patients if we're not at 100%, right? So we really just try to communicate with our team, through this initiative and through their leaders. It's okay not to be okay because together we will get through this and we will get better. And I think being in that space, and me personally admitting I've had to go get help. I've used some of our resources that are available. I think by you saying and admitting that you did it, you needed help, I think it gives them a little bit of almost a way to say, okay, well, she did it, I'm okay doing it, we can all get help together. And I think that was one of the most powerful things when we hear our nursing stories through this journey. One of our nurses shared, like, I didn't realize how bad I was doing until we started talking about this, until we sat down and took a look at how I was doing as a person. So I think it's just communicating. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay to get help. It's okay to ask for help. That's what we're here for.
Absolutely. And what would you say your future goals are, Valerie, for the employee health and wellness department? And how do you plan to continue driving the positive change that you've obviously already been making within your region?
I have so many ideas, not enough time, but I really do have a lot of ideas and desires for the department. I would love to continue to develop our organization's understanding of employee health and the variety of services we offer. I would also like to continue to develop our well-being initiative to ensure we reach as many team members as possible. Healthcare is changing drastically, and we need to ensure that everyone is taking care of themselves, and those who are giving everything to our patients are also getting care as well. We need to ensure that our team members feel supported, healthy, both professionally and personally. So really just continue to gain insights into the well-being and distress of our employees and discover those that are in need of help and come up with a way to kind of help everybody.
Valerie, I wanted to talk about how you measure the success of some of the wellness initiatives that you all have completed. Can you talk a little bit about what that looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. So we use a well-being tool to gather our data, and our data is only as good as our team members. If they participate, right? So we thankfully were able to obtain a lot of feedback from our team members, both pre-intervention and post-intervention, because we wanted to understand what they were dealing with, what was causing distress before we did anything, any initiatives or actionable plans to correct. And then we wanted to look at, did any of the work that we did help? So a lot of the data we used was kind of that pre-test, post-test, and it showed initially that our nurses were scoring extremely high in the area of distress. So we were a 1 point above the national average for nurses. Through a lot of that well-being work, we were able to retest and we were able to drop a whole point below the national average. We also were able to see our distress scores decrease dramatically. So from a high distressed percentage to team members that were doing okay and thriving. So with that data, it was very reassuring and very humbling to know that the work that they were putting into themselves and into their unit was actually helping them.
Valerie, what advice do you have for aspiring nurse leaders who are looking to make a difference but are facing their own obstacles in their career?
I would say continue to work hard, stand behind your beliefs, and stay true to who you are. Stay focused and remind yourself over and over of the whys. Why did you get into healthcare? Why did you get into nursing? Why did you want to become a leader? I think really going back to our whys is really important. To it helps us refocus. I recently read a quote and it said, "Don't lose yourself in the noise of the world. Find your own voice and let it be heard." And if no one to me, and this is, if no one's listening, find a different approach to ensure that they hear your message and you continue to pursue your mission and purpose. It's easy to get distracted by other things, but remember why you're here and why you became a leader, a nurse, a healthcare professional, and stand behind that.
Valerie, thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you for spending time with us today and really just proving true that our mission is alive and well within our organization, and you are living that out each day by the work that you do within employee health and wellness. So thank you for your time, and we hope that those that are listening are inspired by this conversation. And if you take away anything from today, I hope that it is, if you are struggling, please reach out for help. Whether you're here at Advent Health, reach out to a team member, or if you are listening externally to seek the help that you need. And we appreciate you listening to the Whole Career Podcast. Please listen and subscribe, leave a rating and review. And until next time, take care.